think I was supposed to sign. Okay, there's a lot of people here already. You. Okay. Add. Not that one. Oh, I'm so tired. Okay. Hi, guys. Can you see it? Can you hear us? You see.
Yeah, they can hear
I
us.
said, yeah. Hey. Hi. Okay. Thanks for everybody being here. Sorry for the delay.
Yeah, do you want to sit on either side of the table?
Maybe you should sit like in front of the screen so that when it's recorded, you guys are seeing it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, because you guys also do the recording.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Are you recording from here?
Yeah, we have to record from here. I guess let's not start until we start it.
Okay.
Okay, wait, there's more people in here. Not that one. Admit,
I'm also waiting for
admit.
your people.
No, they're.
Oh,
Just across the street.
Oh, to get coffee?
They have pretty good hot cocoa.
Oh, we got coffee from them.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't know. So, yeah, but I mean, it's a big group, so.
Oh my gosh.
Here, I'll bring up the chairs. Do you want?
Yeah,
maybe we
yeah.
have
Cute everybody is. Okay. So then I guess like when each person talks, maybe like we'll angle the computer to you so that it gets recorded.
Okay.
You-
Oh,
your
you're
face on it?
recording on the Zoom, the computer. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we're recording on the computer.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Skylar's here.
Hi.
Oh,
She's my PAL member from CAC.
nice.
Okay, let's see what's next. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Okay, you start 5 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my notes here too.
Second, yeah. Let me amp the brightness. Really good. Yes. Do that.
Oh, why is it turned off?
Their laptop's just like a little overstimulated. Okay, great. And then, yeah, it's on max volume.
Oh, okay.
Here I can say hello.
Here we go. Coffee, anybody would like to grab it?
Sure. Thank you.
Cookies.
Also it's on around the. It's like the reaction detection.
Oh,
Oh,
You know, a top bar. Where the video is like the video response.
does it do that for Zoom? I don't think it does that for.
It does, it's the smack. It's not recorded like.
Oh. Let's see. Oh, maybe it's not. I think it's fine. Okay. Okay. Now I want jump on.
you should try that house of Wilson. It's really
Where
good.
is it?
It's in Irving Park.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
because
I've never been
that's
there.
I walk there because we live really close. Yeah,
Okay.
it's really close from here.
Mm.
About like 20 minutes.
Mhm. That sounds really
Everybody
good.
wants a shot of coffee?
Sure.
There's a shot of coffee.
I think we'll start in about 5 minutes. Yeah. Random construction noises. Nice.
I feel more,
Good right now.
yeah, I think I'm gonna do pee again.
I need to ask you for all of the food recs, because I.
Oh my gosh, I got you.
Yeah, like the north side.
Place here.
Oh,
Where are the spot?
oh, really?
Oh, spicy, so that's the point, something common.
You have to press their comment.
I don't, yeah. I think that's small, smaller something.
I don't know how this works.
I think so.
Give a lot, I mean, looking at it both ways. Yes, oh. If that's a fourth one. So,
Yeah.
Hey. Thanks so much for doing this, sweetie, for the
Yeah,
last
sure.
minute.
Oh,
No.
yeah, I mean, I live in Chicago, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just felt like, why not?
Yeah, sure.
I'm good. How it's good. How are you? Good. Thanks for
I
coming.
have my questions pulled
Like
up.
your little tennis shoes, so cute. Thank you.
Do you think you're close enough to the screen? I can also push it.
Yeah, we can push it back. Yeah, for sure. This is so cute. It's like a little virtual friend.
It's very, what is it?
Yeah.
Representative of your collaboration.
I know, right?
Lots of Zoom,
Right.
lots of different spaces.
It's like a Zoom for working towards the show.
Yeah.
We can get started, maybe like in 1 minute.
Yeah, right at 12:10. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, the only thing we have to do is,
I think there's also people
oh,
waiting.
shoot,
over.
shoot, thank you. Not the note taker. Okay. No note taker, God, they're always like trying to get me. Okay, I guess we just need to start recording.
I think it is recorded.
Oh, no. Whoopsies.
Can you edit it later?
Or you can pause it, stop it.
Yeah, and restart it.
Restart it.
Oh. But we're about to start now.
The recording?
Yeah. Should I stop it and then start a new recording? How should I do?
I think you can do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I never. was
You don't have to
able
stop the
edit.
Zoom, just the recording.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the artist talk today for Hyphen. We're doing a lot of different asynchronous conversations today. We're in Heaven Gallery in Chicago, and I'm here with Diana No. And then we also have Michelle Chun, Christine Jung, and Sarah Plummer also in the Zoom. But thank you so much for coming out, and it's such a beautiful day in Chicago. I just wanted to start the conversation with a little bit of an intro. I know everyone is located in different places, different time zones. But yeah, I wanted to open it up with some artist introductions. Yeah, did you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first because I'm here physically. My
Can you like
Oh.
the computer to me so that the video shows you? There you go.
okay. Should I look at the computer?
Maybe like both.
Okay. Okay. So I'm Diana No. I'm an interdisciplinary artist working with photography, fiber, and installation. My work is about my feelings and emotions, about my emotional distress being in between two cultures, US and Korea. I talk a lot about the tensions in my work, how I navigate my life as being into culture, not really necessarily belonging in either places. And yeah, I like using different paper mediums. I like printing them out and physically altering them. And yeah, I'll toss it to another artist.
Okay, hey everyone. My name's Christine. Can you hear me all right, by the way? Yeah, okay, great, great. I'm a ceramic installation artist. My installations are prayer curses. Excuse me if you can hear construction noises in the background, by the way. I'm at work, and my gallery is de-installing a show. But in any case, my installations are prayer curses born from institutional abuses of power. I rely a lot on like historical research to make my work.
Sarah, did you want to go next? Just a second.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I am primarily a lithographic printmaker, but my personal practice revolves around writing and sculpture. The pieces in the show of mine are all small paper sculptures. And I would say, like, this whole group of artists, my work is a meditation on paradox and in-betweenness, and I think a lot about loss and memory and the ways that we find wholeness.
Hi everyone, my name's Michelle. I am primarily a painter. I'm located in the Los Angeles region. I approach my practice as a practice of attunement and listening. There's kind of two parts to my studio practice. One, I feel like can be very cognitive. I do some oil painting and like video narrative work. That feels like more cognitive. And then there's another part of my practice that is more affective, more intuitive, and it's mark making with pastel on soft canvas or soft pastel on raw canvas. All canvas is soft, which is mainly what you see in the show today. And I believe that both aspects of the practice is an engagement of listening and attunement. I am really interested in the ways the individual is affected by the collective and vice versa. And also really interested in the ways that our bodies and other parts of ourselves hold information and data that we can tune into and listen to that is not primarily verbal or linguistic.
Yeah. I feel like I wanted to open up the talk thinking about how everyone's in different geographies too. I know Michelle and Sarah are in the LA area right now, and Christine's in New York, and we're in Chicago. And I wanted to open up the conversation thinking about like different spaces, and there's so much movement and like motion in the show too, and a lot of the subjects. I just wanted to know, like, in terms of the collaboration coming about, like how it was like working, across time zones and asynchronously. Like, was there a lot of different care or practices that came out through this collaboration?
I can say that there was at least one, if not two, calls that we had as a group when when I was in Australia, which made it even more complicated for everybody to schedule. But I think also beyond that, there was a lot of um, earnest um, vulnerability and mutual care that I felt as I was at home in the role of caregiver for my dad, and it was very consuming. And I think everybody was balancing um, a lot of responsibility at the same time, and being able to share that with one another and not just work with the parameters of space and time, but also um, limits of our own beings. Um, it was a very beautiful way to be connected. And yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit off of that. Um, yeah, I think just being in different spaces, it's interesting how space and time are like so connected because different places and us like trying to navigate meetings and conversations, we really had to like mind time in such a visceral way. Like I think there's many emails where it's like PST/CST/EST, and then like Sarah's like, oh, in Australia it's gonna be this time. And the ways that minding time feels a way to also like it for me, it made me really pay attention to the body, right? Because we think about like what time is this person waking up? What time is it over there? And it feels similar to what Sarah's saying, like the minding of limits, the minding of these times, these structures and these laws of space and distance and time. Um, yeah, it was almost like creatively working within those parameters to construct a, a place and a time that we could all meet on Google Meet or Zoom. Um, and so it's just, I think there is a more acute attentiveness to, yeah, our limits, but not in an oppressive sort of way, but in just I don't know, the reality of being like contoured, of like being embodied, um, which led to really interesting conversations in thinking about our show Hyphen, which was not a, a dimension of the concept of hyphen that I initially approached the show with, but working towards the show, the idea of limitations and bordering kind of started to emerge as another aspect of thinking and considering what a hyphen is.
Yeah, sure. So goofy. Yeah, I think I definitely felt the time too because I was trying to we were trying to organize meetings, and at one point I went to Santa Fe for a show, so it was mountain time there. And I was like, oh gosh, okay, how do I do this now? And it was pretty interesting thinking about the time zone because I also spent a fair amount of time in Korea, and I have a best friend in Australia, so just thinking, oh right, that's flipped. And that was very interesting. And also talking about movements when Michelle and I were physically here installing the show, and we did make sure we wanted to as hyphen is our show theme, we were thinking about hyphening the spaces, stitching it together, and how we will make it very fun. And Michelle's suggestion was is specifically the rainbow road piece. I really love that because she said, "Oh, I want it to be low because maybe it will be more fun, and it's just the eye level for kids too." And then it was so interesting and fun because I learned more about, oh my gosh, yes, and we can do it this way. This is also hyphen too. So in that regard, I thought it was very interesting and fun, and especially because Heaven Gallery, there's a lot of kids that comes in with families, and I thought that is so perfect. It was a cherry on top for me.
Yeah, this is a perfect segue into my next question. Like visually looking around, there's like a lot of movement, like the waves that you capture. Even like looking at some of Michelle's oil pastel works, it reminds me a lot of like migratory patterns of birds or like aerial views. There's also lots of doors and portals that are kind of all throughout. And then even in Christine's work, there's it's like suspended in time, and there's like a level of motion to it that's just captured in all of your works. So I guess I just wanted to think a little bit more about both the theme around the show Hyphen, and you were talking about like the contours and working with limits. I guess I'm wondering how like motion and movement, especially as themes that you all explore, play into Hyphen.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this is a really, I love thinking about this question. Thank you so much, Hisan. Yeah, because I think a lot of what Hyphen was when Diana and I were coming up with the proposal like a year or so ago, we did do like these little plays on like thinking about the word hyphen as a dash, and like this a dash is like an animating, it's like a movement, right? It dashes to and fro. And we thought about these liminal spaces, these in between places, um, that a hyphen kind of as a concept alludes to is a really active and animated place. Yeah, we thought a lot about migration and movement in that regard. And I think sorry, there's a helicopter running past. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Movement. Um, Thinking about movement and also thinking about water. I think of water as like a real liminal place, right? But it's also this medium that I think of, there's this kind of a derogatory word for immigrants like fob, like fresh off the boat, like as this relationship to the water, as a relationship to migration, to movement, to a real place that is in between two places. And I think about movement in that way. Yeah, I think about moving pictures. I can go on and on. But another portion of coming up with the show and of hyphen, we also were considering bodies with moving within the space as a sort of hyphen, as a sort of like weaving and like these individual marks, these individual presences, yeah, stitching together a narrative from our own little block of work. Yeah, so movement feels very intimate in terms of its relationship to time and also space as a connector of these fragments and these places.
Isan, what was the question again?
Thinking in terms of the theme of the show of hyphen, of in between spaces, and also like especially not just in between spaces, but like feeling the contours of those categories. Um, I wonder how like movement as well as motion, just like constantly moving around, like how that plays into in-betweenness and a hyphenated practice.
I made my piece specifically for the show. I started by thinking about how I might be able to feel presence and absence at the same time. That was something I had already been interested in. And then Michelle approached me for the show. And I thought that I could say yes because um, like isn't like to feel couldn't it be like the in between to be able to feel opposite things or like seemingly opposite things at the same time. And like being a ceramicist, like pretty like naturally I started thinking about vessels because they're containers. And so they have like a boundaried space to be filled. And then they can contain that space. Um and so I guess like that's how I would relate my work to your question. Um, I think though that like water is like uncontainable ultimately. And so like that's what might feel like slippery about each of our works.
I like the word slippery. I think that's very accurate because I also think a lot about the liquidity of margins and how we define um, boundaries of any kind. And in I've heard a lot from people that my work looks like ceramic or it looks like a fossil or it looks like a stone and it's not that. It's made out of paper and tree gum and a lot of the materials are things that I gather personally on walks. So there's an aspect of movement that's embedded in the practice for me, but I think that it's really interesting to see the ways that people recognize these objects because I think they function on a personal level for me as like this impossible um, makeup of materials and memories and um, connections to place and time and people that in the real tangible world could never be combined. And much like um, the hidden tectonics of like the earth or the tectonics of our own bodies, like there's so much um, beneath the surface, so much movement um, that um, is really complex and dynamic and largely unseen. And both of those things also connect to water. But then, the surface is just this. It's interesting to just to feel into the invisible depths of what um, movement may sit beyond something that seems static or not alive.
Oh gosh, I'm forgetting the question too. Sorry.
Maybe more specifically about your work.
Uh-huh.
There's like lots of waves and textures.
Yeah.
Especially like textures that almost shouldn't make sense, like paper and
Mhm,
water.
mhm,
I was wondering like how that came about. Like
mhm.
I remember talking about and listening to you talk about like the ocean and the memories that it brought up.
Yeah, I guess for me, photography is a very specific medium that is known to pause time. But how I interpret photography when I take photographs is me holding the breath at the moment. So it's not really necessarily present, it's not necessarily past or future to me. And it's about kind of playing with the tensions, how I'm gonna make my practice more to kind of give in at the time and how I'm gonna battle with it. So that's why I'm very interested at manipulating my photographs. And just I don't know, it was very interesting just coming together because I think it was very interesting that we really have a big huge overlap in our practice, even though we're kind of somewhat our interest ranges. And it's all different mediums, but it's also there's so much similarity, which I thought it was so interesting. And it was very fun working with everybody and just kind of it just made sense.
Mhm. I also wanted to ask about water, but I know everyone touched on it too. There's lots of kind of like this quality of like both and like the hyphen and just the in-betweenness and water so fluid and it's like able to be so many things at once. I was wondering if there was anything else people wanted to add about water as a theme and how it like guides people's practices, but if not, I can also move on to the next question.
I guess I will briefly mention, so just on the topic of water. So actually, the way that I make my work is soft pastel on damp wet. So like I will soak raw canvas and it activates soft pastel in a very particular way. And I usually have to make it in one take because it's really hard to then reactivate the canvas and make it damp again without the pigments blurring unless I have a spray. So yeah, just wanting to connect water. Water is such an active part of my practice in that sort of way, and also animating and forces me to move around and to also work within a very specific time frame. So just wanted to mention that.
Um, I guess for me, water has I always loved water. I was born near a sea town, so it's always very soothing and meditative for me. I'm especially also drawn into water because it carries so much contradiction. It creates, but it also takes lives. It's destructive at times, but it also embraces at times. And it's a really just visually, it is always my go-to when I need to experiment with a new body of work. I absolutely use my water photos just because I have so much in my archive and I feel I love it so much. I have been seeing in it so much, so I feel very comfortable using it as a object to experiment with. And just because I'm very influenced by my maternal grandmother, she practices Buddhism. And in Buddhism, it's also very interesting. Water is somewhat, it takes place with reincarnation. You have to process water in order to go into your next life. And those kind of trinkles in my practice. I also feel how I battle with the tensions in my work, how much control I give to my work. As in, if I feed my work in a sewing machine, a lot of people think, well, you have full control, but that's actually not true because I make a lot of work that are in mid to large sizes, and I have to be very smart how I'm going to plan this so I can have control. But also sometimes the sewing machine just breaks on me. And if that happens, I kind of have to decide, oh, should I redo this again or should I just embrace it and just let it also take a part of a collaborating with me. And it's kind of like those balances I also find in my practice while I make my work.
I like what you said about being in collaboration with the material, Diana. I think I feel that way about water. In both in a very direct way in lithography as a print form that is entirely dependent on the relationship between oil and water. But also in my sculptural work, the surface textures that are formed are also entirely by way of expansion and contraction and the ways that I apply the tree gum and at what point in time and how much do I let the paper dry out before doing another layer, and the push and pull of each layer against the other is what forms the cracks on the surface. And I think becoming acquainted with the ways of water and surrendering to that and being afforded the gift of then making with that is a part of how I work, and it feels like the only way to be with that kind of a force that truly is, as Christine said, really uncontainable and can exist in so many forms for us all as like this soothing, nourishing force, or like violent and destructive. So
During the course of working on this show together, it was really interesting to learn about how water was so involved in our individual like material processes. And how that like allowed us to have like such personal relationships with this element. In like my own material process as well, like working with clay, I'm constantly negotiating with water, and that's something that I'm like aware of, like at every point in my making process. Like how wet is the clay right now, and like can I do and like what can I do with it at this like level of hydration? Like what is it gonna let me do? Um, I I think of obviously like my installation, like once it's like everything's like been set in place, like the finished piece, as a prayer. But I also think of my my practice as a prayer in itself too. Um, um, when I tell people that like my work like is about cursing, people are like, oh, like aren't you afraid of like things coming back to you, or like what are you sacrificing for it? Um but um I can't I can't uh I can only ask like higher powers uh to look favorably upon me, right? Um we can't make those with more power do something. That I mean like that's like the whole structure of power. Um um and so I think of like the labor that my work that I go through in like my process as an appeal. Um, and then the work itself when it's finished is also an appeal.
Yeah, I love all of the like contradictions that it brings up too, and just hearing about like guidance and um having the kind of like element or water or time even just guide the work too. I was wondering about kind of going back to the theme of like boundaries and also limits that we talked about earlier. I was wondering about how like absence and also presence, like the contradiction of the two both being present, if that played at all into like identity forming too. And throughout this exhibition, because it's so like everything is hybrid, like even our event right now is hybrid. If this like constant, yeah, in-betweenness made you think differently about your practice or also your identity as an artist.
If I might speak again. I don't know if like anyone has noticed, but like during our like many and I'm talking specifically to the artists. During our many like calls, I'm always like calling in from a different location. And like oftentimes it's like not a private location. You know, like I've called in from like a hallway before or like a friend's studio. Like the last time we met, I was at a coffee shop, and now I'm at work. But it is very reflective, just because like you know we've met at like all different times and of the day and at different days of the week. That's really reflective of my life. I don't have um I do have a home, um but I don't have an office, um and there just aren't a lot of like private spaces for me to occupy, and so I'm always like me. I feel like when people like experience me, it's always me plus my circumstances or my environment. Um what was the question again?
Um, Thinking about like especially I feel like it's all related too. And when you were
I
saying
know it kind of like starts to turn
yeah,
into just a
yeah.
conversation, yeah.
I love that. It was about like how these states of in-betweenness inform your practice as I
Mm.
I think you were already alluding to that, especially about like material circumstances as an artist and you know the labor that goes into making all of these works. It's not in a vacuum. And like you mentioned at the beginning of the call, like you're at work right now and like the different states and like literal powers that you have to answer to in all of these different spaces that you occupy. Yeah, just like how all of these like um, states of in-betweenness have informed your practice, and then also your identity too, in terms of like
Mm.
this.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, I don't think I had too much more to say. Like this, like I feel like we've talked a lot as a group about like showing up authentically, and uh, um yeah, like I feel like I have been able to think a lot about my identity through, and it's not something that I think about naturally in my practice, in my personal practice, because in my practice I try to um, like quiet myself, uh, and like who I might be. in order to bring attention to like others, like other people who have already been quieted. Um, uh, but this show has made me think about myself, just in the ways that like who I am does end up affecting my work. Um, yeah, in the way that I'm able to like be an artist.
Could we open it?
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
Oh,
I was just about to say, I feel as if there's something very powerful about the work of the other three artists, the way that it impacts me. It's quite unique, in on the spectrum of form, because I often feel like objects in and of themselves, like they carry a fixed state. So it's difficult for someone who is a maker of objects to create something that can contain something that moves beyond that sort of fixedness. But I feel that in the work of all three of you, and it's something that that I usually get from music or something. But the way that it has um, been in process working together has also made me uh, it just has served as a constant reminder of the ways that I am also unfixed, and that maybe the ways that I have witnessed myself or may self-describe are changing or are far broader and deeper than what I usually kind of carry on a surface level. And also to being at a juncture in my life where there's like a huge amount of change. Um, yeah, it's been deeply affecting to be. Um, I have been touched by the work of the other artists in this show in that way.
No, I heard a peep, but I'm gonna peep before the Heaven Gallery peep peeps. Um, but just really thinking about absence and presence as I'm like hearing Sarah and Christine and even Nissan like pose the question again, I think a lot about I think a lot about expression and language, right? I think a lot about art as these things that hold absence and presence, or even writing, right? How we write emails or letters, and these are animated objects that stand in place of someone being absent, of not being there. And I think there are a lot of questions of in how working for this show and thinking about absence and presence. And, not all of us were able to be there and thinking about how it's kind of affected my continual questions of who I'm becoming and the formation of that. Yes. Oh, yes. Sarah is reminding me to talk about the pencils. I'll get to that real quick, but I'm just thinking a lot about why I make visual forms versus like write an essay about something that can express the same things. I think they tune into things that, yeah, what even like words can be absent from expression. You know, I think about music or the body as these stand-ins, and I even think about my racial identity as this thing that is like physically present, and yet I am still like, it compels me to then learn about my Korean heritage and migration story, and this thing that is physically present and also absent. And it almost like calls to me to like go search and make present what is absent. I think these are very interesting things. And yes, Sarah was mentioning we did think a lot about maybe like the absence of financial provision in terms of cultivating and working towards the show, realizing that we may have limitations in paying for flights here or shipping the work, and feeling the limitations of those things and those boundaries and those contours. And we decided to make these pencils that you can find in the gallery, as connections with a really great press. Tom is here, who generously donated press and these pencils. And we wrote 6 sides of lines. And we were thinking about the pencil as a hyphen in itself, as this activating thing that as you use it and assert a presence or a writing, it starts to create the absence or deteriorate the pencil itself. And the intimate connection of like, absence and presence, assertion and negation. I think about how those are happening all at the same time. And perhaps at the core of expression and language and connection and like relationship, like I miss you, this like call for absence is also marked by presence. And so yes, so we made these pencils, and we initially made them to raise some sort of funds to help mitigate some costs, but we realized that it wouldn't amount to much financially, and we decided to donate all the proceeds to immigrant bond funds, because thinking about liminal spaces, real affecting spaces, we could not help but think about ICE detention centers, like these real places that are not perhaps actual spaces or findable locations at times, but they're very real, they're very active, and they have consequences. So just good. Thank you for that reminder. And thank you, Tom, so much. Tom is here. First time meeting Tom. Thank you so much for your generosity, and Sarah for all your labor in making those pencils.
Well, I know we're tight on time, but I wanted to open up the floor for any last comments and also questions from the audience, especially to the Zoom room.
I have a question for you, Diana.
Yeah.
A lot of people that have seen the exhibition, they want to know the locations of all the places that you're photographing, as well as they want to know what is the meaning behind the thread. Like, was that like an afterthought, or was that from the beginning you thought that you were gonna put that as part of it? So is it 2 photos that are put together through the thread, or is it?
For me, I have been getting a lot of these questions since grad school, them asking me, is the location important? My short answer is no. I like photographing abandoned buildings, going to the point of absence too, because I feel like that's how my mind is visualized. If I can take a picture of how my mind is after being so disrupted throughout the whole emotional distress and experience I had to live with. it works as a kind of suture when the doctors kind of do a surgery, they're trying to pull things together. I'm trying to, I guess, reach to my emotional distress remainders and then pull them together and stitch them together so it can be ready to have another layer of skin grow on top of that. So it represents healing, it represents getting ready, getting over it, embracing everything. So yeah, that's the location. That's why it's specifically abandoned places, and that's why I try to stitch them together. And I definitely do study a lot of different patterns in stitching, just so because of my photography background, it has to make sense composition wise and content wise. So I guess I kind of study those and try to do new experiments, how it will work with this piece, and how that's a main thing when I decide what to do.
So you just discovered these places.
Yes, I walk around a lot. I like exploring. Sometimes I pin down locations as that small piece there, those two pieces actually. I took it in Korea 2024 and I found that place doing research on the internet and I got the address. So I made my dad drive me there and take a photo there. But yeah, mostly it's 50-50. Some places I just stumble upon, some places because they know that I'm really into abandoned buildings. Sometimes people reach out to me and say, "Hey, Diana, I know you're interested at this. Do you want a key?" And then, yes, please. So it's a mixture.
So do you know any of the history of that space since it's so interesting? Like,
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no, because sometimes I really try to do research on the place because of respecting the ground as well. But sometimes it's just a random location that I can't really get information off of. But most of the times I feel yes, I kind of do.
that's awesome. It's really beautiful work.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So Diana,
Yeah.
the green one up there, that was a photo, right? Isn't that, is it like a field or something?
Yes, I took that at Toulouse, Washington here. I was traveling with my dad, and my dad is a main reason why he causes so much tension in my life, which is pretty funny, but yeah. So I'm just trying to experiment with landscapes too, how I will put that in my landscape practice.
Cause I remember you were crunching that together at my house.
Yes.
I remember you doing that.
Yeah, I was. I was
And you said
making
that
the maze.
and then the one over here, is that water?
Yes, that's the ocean.
That's the ocean.
Yeah.
So is it a photo printed onto the fabric and then you?
Yeah, I print on
sew it?
canvas paper. Yeah.
You should, it's amazing how what she was doing with that.
I wanted to ask how you guys came together. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
how
yeah,
did
yeah.
you all decide to do the show?
Yeah, it was initially Michelle and I and another artist was writing a proposal because we were all based in Chicago at the time. So we saw a open call from Heaven Gallery. So we were drafting a proposal, but the artist had some personal reasons that one artist had a personal reason that he had to drop off. And then we were thinking, should we invite more artists? Is that possible? And then Michelle recommended both Christine and Sarah. And it actually was, I think it was very like a wonderful event that happened. Not saying that I'm not sad that that artist is not here, but still, I think I learned so much throughout the practice, and it's just how we kind of all chimed in together, even though we're not physically here. Because I never met Sarah in person, but still we kind of managed doing it online Zoom, which I thought it goes really well with the world that we're living in right now too, because now we kind of live in a lot of rectangular boxes that we barely meet people in the company. So yeah.
I have a question. I have a question for all the artists. How do you think your practice might change as a result of this collaboration, if at all?
Oh,
Oh.
Um, sorry. I guess for me at least, I really like being in other people's shoes, trying to comprehend their viewpoint. I think it's because growing up, I was constantly kind of trying to see myself from other people's perspective to understand what's going on in my life and trying to justify that and overcome that. And I guess I had this understanding, at least for my practice, living in between spaces on what it is about my identity, being in a place that people don't really necessarily view me as a Native person there. And as I was doing meetings with other artists, it's just amazing how to see they were hyphening, how they were deciphering it in their practice. So I guess it was a very eye-opening experience and thinking, well, I should have really judged people, even though it doesn't really come off the way that I didn't expect, because it's there's always more into that. And I think that will kind of push my practice after this experience to be more embracive in a way and less judgmental, just kind of and not assuming that much, because that's I guess a big learning experience that I had from it. And also, even though it's depicted in a completely different way, still it can be something that is very similar to my core as well.
I personally felt like there were many moments of surrender in the process of getting this show together, and one of which for me was recognizing my intention was to be there to help install and celebrate the opening, and ultimately I wasn't able to go, so I was entrusting the work to the very capable hands of Michelle and Diana to install. And my pieces are many of them function for me as holdable objects um, that I sometimes carry around for a long time. And something about and like they're very labor intensive. They take months to make, and so there's an attachment that I have. Um, and I think something about talking on FaceTime the day that my work arrived and seeing them in the gallery, and the care that was given to my pieces really affected me and made me feel like I think I would like to have um, more opportunities to have others carry my work around. So that's something I've been thinking about.
I have a question for you, Sarah, while you're still there.
Sure.
Where did, you mentioned are they based, you said they're based off of objects that you carry around? So is it like that you have a real object that's in the shape of what you're about to make? Or how does forms the object shape?
One of there's only ever been one piece that I've based off of a real thing. And it's in the show. It's the red kind of pyramid-like sculpture. And that is I found a rock that was shaped just like that. And it seemed like I don't know how that came to be, because it was very unique and magical feeling, and I made the mirror image of it essentially in paper. But the objects themselves, like in their final state, the reason why I size them as I do is because I want to be able to carry them around once they are made, or maybe are in some state of being made. And many of them also have things embedded into them that I have picked up, like a small rock, or like the colors are often pigments that I have ground from foraging pigments on a walk. And so the the matter that ends up becoming the sculpture was at one point like something that was in my hand while I was walking. And then yeah, I like to be able to return it to that state, almost like a talisman, or some kind of comfort object to hold on to, and put energy into, or receive energy from. And I think that's also why I had this realization like, oh, of course I need other people to carry these around, because they're going to help me, then I need not only my own energy in there, but also some other energy imparted. And I do think part of the process does that, because it's like the places, and the power that those places have for me. But yeah, hopefully that answered the question.
I just wanted to add something. It's more of a kind of than a question. But you talk about hyphen in betweenness, separation, boundaries. But hyphen can also mean togetherness or addition or specificity. And I see a lot of that in the positive sense of the word hyphen in this word.
Yeah, continuation.
Yeah, I think it was really fun learning how they decipher hyphen, because it was, I always think, oh, there's nothing more to come new, and then there's a new thing that comes up. So I'm also it was a fun process, even like hearing from the audience what they take from as a hyphen.
I know we're coming up on the hour too, but yeah, did anyone want to add any final comments, either to the question or to pose to the audience?
I just want to say for everybody, thank you for being here. It really means a lot. It's really hard for Michelle. Awesome.
Thank you guys. Thank you to the Zoom and to the artists.
Thank you.
Okay.